my name is Fatou Bensouda. I currently serve as the High Commissioner of the Gambia to the United Kingdom, also as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for the Nordic countries, mainly Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. And I also cover countries such as Ireland and the Holy See. So I have been to see the Pope. And yeah, this is currently what I'm doing, representing my country in these countries, yes. It is, I think, very, very important. It comes at a very critical time when we have all these technological advances that are happening, but still we see that international crimes like corruption and money laundering are still going on. And we know the devastating impact that this has on national development. Because when we have these economic crimes, financial crimes, when they happen, you find that it directly impacts on the national development. As I said yesterday, it's an assault on the economy of the country. Because when these crimes happen, you see that, for instance, a school that was supposed to be built is not built. You find out that a hospital that was to be completed is not completed. Roads that were supposed to be built is not built as well. So what this does, in effect, is that not only does it prevent these important national developments from taking place, but also you find that it makes the citizens of that country to lose credibility in there, to lose the government will lose credibility in the eyes of the citizens, and this is not a good thing for the development of the country. Well, you know, international law, there has been efforts at all levels, including at the United Nations. We do have conventions that have been signed. We also have at the African Union level, but also even for Nigeria, when they are setting up all these, the Commission Against Financial Crimes, these are things that help for the world to come together and be able to treat these matters, to exchange ideas, but also ensure that where they have been able to succeed in one particular area about, let's say, recovering money, recovering assets, this can be used by other countries to also do that. So when we say that we're fighting this scourge of crimes, financial crimes, collaboration is very important. And this is where the International Law, the International Law Association, this is where it becomes critically important. And I'm very, very pleased to see that the Nigeria branch is also playing a very important role in bringing Nigeria up to speed concerning the fight against these financial crimes and economic crimes. You know, the criminal is always a step ahead. So one of the first things that we need to do, of course, is to ensure that our laws are also up to speed to be able to do that, to be able to fight this scourge. And also, secondly, we also need to collaborate with one another, with our neighbors, with people outside of the continent, to see what they have done, where they have succeeded, and also to give them the experience that we have. In fact, it is very, very important that we have collaboration in this instance, and an association like the ILA is facilitating that, which is also important. So we look at our laws, but also we need to look at the advancement that we have in technology, because the criminals are using them. So why not those of us who are fighting against this? Because at the end of the day, it is really for the dignity of our countries, to ensure that we, as leaders of these countries, we are there to be able to work really hard and ensure that the confidence and the trust that the citizens should have in our country and our leadership is there. But I would also like to perhaps before ending, I would like to commend the Africa Agenda Network for actually coordinating and being part of those who worked very hard to ensure that this conference takes place. I mean, what they are doing right now about changing the narrative that we have in Africa, ensuring that there are many good things that are happening in Africa, but unfortunately with the media, especially the outside media, only talk about the bad things. So when you have a network like the Africa Agenda Network doing this to ensure that those who carry the positive messages are helped and supported, I think it's a good thing. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to commend them for their work.
Also, I'm Edwin David Harris Jr., Director General for the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA for short, and it's an ECOWAS specialized institution with headquarters in Dakar and offices in both Lagos and Abidjan. International law has a major role to play, in fact, critical role, because these crimes are trans-border crime. They are multinational, so as such, international law play a critical role. So what we stated in our keynote speech and want to re-emphasize is like time that international law association serve as foundation for procedural clarification and bring clarity to a doctrine and to see how our laws are harmonized. So, for example, one of the key issues that came up is mutual legal assistance. That's international law. Okay, so if I commit a crime in Nigeria and I'm hiding in the U.S., how can I be held accountable, brought back under the jurisdiction of the Nigerian law? It takes international law and stuff. So we think that in fighting and mitigating these risks, okay, to enhance strong integrity in our financial system, our security, peace and stability, there is no way we can divorce international law. So this is where we form, and we use this medium to encourage, okay, our jurists, academic and scholars to see how we expand international to bring clarity, because some of these prescriptions are within international law. So how do we domesticate, okay, to country Pacific? So that is the role I think international law and the International Law Association should play. So the thing is, most of our laws are not harmonized. Okay, so I think it's about time that we open the conversation on harmonization of law, whether it's in Africa, the whole Africa, West Africa, and thing. So we need to, because the fight against this financial crime is a straight fight. It's not the Nigerian fight, the Kenyan fight, the South African fight. So crime is crime. If I stole in Nigeria and you stole the same, it's the same crime and thing. So it doesn't need to be codified differently. You understand what I'm saying? So the codification and harmonization of crime is important so that we fight with oneness of purpose, okay? And then to see how, which word should I say, how deterrence, because the end goal is to bring about deterrence. So if I stole or have participated in corruption, okay, I'm punished and the access is recovered for me, that's deterrence. The next person will want to do so. But with so many laws, it creates loopholes, and criminals exploit the loopholes in our legal system. So the call for harmonization and clarification in procedure and doctrine is to close the loophole so as to have a common front, okay, to enhance our fight against financial crime and mitigate the economic risks that come along with it.
Hello, my name is Jiaru Hou. I'm coming from China. I'm professor at China University of Political Science and Law, and I'm here. I was invited by Professor Damilola Olavi, President of the International Law Association, Nigeria branch. I'm so happy to be here. This is my first time to be in Nigeria, also the first time in Africa. Through the conference, I'm become more convinced that international law play a very even a stronger role in this turbulence world. Because transnational economic and financial crimes are increasing and cross-border very easily and instantly. So no country can fight against the international economic and financial crimes alone. So all countries must stand together to fight this crime. So it's international law that can provide a legal framework for the international cooperation, such as extradition, asset recovery, mutual assistance, that help a lot to fighting the crimes, especially during this special time. So in my view, through the conference discussion, I found the role of the international law are not diminishing, but become more stronger. The theme of mitigating economic and financial crimes under the crisis, the topic is really timely and important. Transnational economic and financial crimes harm the economies of minor countries, especially the developing countries. So through the conference and through the discussion and the dialogue, I think the South-South cooperation are very important. And because the international law are the solution, very useful solution to fight the crime, to guard the sustainable development. So I look forward to coming here again, and I look for more South-South cooperation and dialogue in the legal area.
All right, I'm Professor Damilola Olawi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as well as President of the Nigerian branch of the International Law Association. It's a great time to be having this discussion. As you know, over the last months, Nigeria has been making proactive efforts to address revenue leakages, to ensure that whatever money we make from the different economic sectors actually serve the people, actually provide roads, provide infrastructure and all of that. And some of the ways in which revenue get missing are things like tax evasion, illicit financial flows, corruption, bribery. And so we thought in the ILA, as part of our contributions to international and national discourse on this topic, that we should indeed dedicate our entire conference this year to this topic. And as you can see, it has been such a wonderful decision, because the high quality of submissions that we have listened to show that this is a topic that if we can address, then Nigeria will be on the path to accelerated sustainable development. As you know, the International Law Association has been around since 1873, which is more than 150 years ago. And so the ILA has become an authoritative source of research and knowledge on the development of international law, as well as topical issues affecting national growth. So, and since our branch was established in 2014, we have been carrying on that mandate. We've been organizing this conference every year, bringing high-level speakers from across the world. You heard from this conference, we've listened to Our Excellency Fatou Bensouda, former prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. We've listened to Professor Bolaji Owasonoye, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, former chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, as well as currently the director on illicit financial flows at Nigeria Revenue Service. We've also heard from His Excellency Aris, from Giaba, who has brought in very strong West African perspective on this issue of addressing money laundering. You listen to his powerful keynote as well. So I think the convening power of the ILA is very much on display in this conference, and we are very proud of our role, and we look forward to advancing capacity development, training, knowledge sharing, and even higher level collaboration and networking, as we have done this year. We've been very impressed with the high level of participation. The turnout has been impressive, and I think it reflects one key message, that addressing illicit financial flows and the economic financial crimes risk is not the function of government alone. All stakeholders across key institutions and sectors have eminent roles to play. That's why we must congratulate and commend our host, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, for providing us a serene, world-class environment and infrastructure to have this timely discussion. And their role highlights the importance of research institutions in this discourse, the importance of lawyers who advise clients, the need for lawyers to be more ethical in providing counsel, the need for students to dedicate their research to this topic, the need for all stakeholders to promote awareness. So my message will be for all participants to see themselves as important stakeholders and contribute their thoughts. And if they are not already members of the ILA, I wonder what they are waiting for. Now is a good time to join forces with us. Join the ILA. We welcome you. We look forward to working with you. The future is very bright.
Okay, my name is Idris Mohamed Abdullahi. I'm the head of liaison with Anti-Graft Law Enforcement Agency for the Nigerian Revenue Service, and I also double as the head of AML-CFT Beneficial Ownership Register, IFF, for the Nigerian Revenue Service. I also have a national assignment, which is the head of the Secretariat for the Technical Working Group on the fight against IFF for Nigeria. Okay, for the Nigerian Revenue Service, many do not know that the Nigerian Revenue Service has been designated as the Secretariat for the fight against IFF. So it coordinates both the National IFF Committee and also the Technical Working Group on illicit financial flows in Nigeria. And also, through the Technical Working Group, we've collaborated with other agencies, in the fight against IFF, through carrying out estimation, IFF estimation, moving Nigeria from rhetorics to data-driven estimation of IFF, and also building capacity of Nigerian investigators towards knowing how to estimate IFF in terms of different methodologies, and one of the major takeaway is that also from the Secretariat, we've collaborated with UNCTAD, we've collaborated with UNODC, to bring in resource person, to train the Nigerian Technical Working Group on, carrying out the IFF. And also one of the response in fighting IFF in Nigeria is when it comes to transfer pricing, there are so many regulations that the Nigerian Revenue Service has issued. We've also established a full department called the International Tax that is mandated or saddled with the responsibility of coordinating or ensuring that we manage transfer pricing between sister companies. And also, establishing the base erosion and so on and so forth. Yeah. In terms of the automatic exchange of information, which is a framework, being introduced by the OECD, Nigeria is a signatory to that framework, and through that we get, whatever tax positions of Nigerian companies operating in different jurisdictions. So it helps us know that they are filing properly, because in Nigeria, we tax the global income of Nigerian entities. And through that automatic exchange of information, that has been sorted. And also, just like I said, in terms of collaboration, we're moving from, Nigeria has, designed beautiful framework to fight IFF. But however, it is the implementation part that is always an issue. And now the support we get from the various regional styled bodies in terms of GIABA, in terms of UNCAC, in terms of UN, ODC, in terms of UNCTAD, and so on and so forth. I just came back from Thailand, and one of the things being emphasized on, or that we are being empowered on, is how to carry out effectively estimation. If you know how to estimate properly your IFFs, then tackling once you identify the problem, then it's halfway solved. I've been to different conferences, and I must say this is unique because it's more of solution-driven, and the kind of facilitators or the panelists that are being brought to speak at this event really says well of the outcome we're going to be having from such events. You can see even from the keynote speakers, the quality of people who came in as keynote speakers. You can see the quality of information being dished out by these keynote speakers, the panelists, and even the participants. Definitely, this is one of the best conferences ever hosted by Nigeria, and will encourage that more of this comes up through the support of including even private sector, because this is where we get solutions to our problems. And I will implore partners to come in, support such initiatives, because we really need this and it's timely.
My name is Oludayo Olorunfemi. I'm the Vice President of ILA Nigeria. Thank you very much. The theme is critical because, if you look at the downside of illicit fund flows, which has been one of the hot topics that we've discussed during the conference, we see how it impacts development, how we are the biggest losers when there are no transparency and these funds just keep frittering away. So monies that could be used by national and subnationals for developmental projects, for schools, for general well-being of the people are in a few hands and in a few pockets, and people are wondering what's happening. So conversations like this help to spotlight our collective responsibilities and the duty that we owe to ourselves and to the nation, such that development can continue to grow at this level of that we should grow, considering the GDP and all the kind of transactions that go on within the economy. Yeah. International law helps us to see what the laws are, help us to remember what the laws are, and help us to understand that we are not an island and nations are not in silos and everybody is connected. So if there are commercial transactions between Nigerian companies and United States or China, as we see, because there are always multi-jurisdictional transactions and all of that. The international law is that nucleus that ties all the different jurisdictions together so that everybody is on the same page with some of these things. Okay, so the charge that I expect that everybody will take away from the conference is, again, a renewed commitment to our responsibilities, not only as lawyers, but also as citizens of the world, so that we are playing our roles in educating, in creating awareness, in ensuring that everybody understands what they are supposed to do going forward.
I'm Dr. Grace Dafiel, the chair for this year's 9th annual conference 2026 with the theme of mitigating financial and economic crimes, the role of, in a shifting global order, the role of international law. Okay. When you look at the international and illicit financial flow globally, it's hampering national development because corruption is embedded, issues around terrorist financing and all of that. And when you look at the insecurity in Nigeria, especially from the terrorist angle, we want to see how can we have this dialogue that will be able to enable us come up with recommendations that will aid the government to be able to plan properly to curb these maintenance. And so we are looking at it that there's international backing to some of these things, and so we need to tell ourselves, have those discussions to be able to come up with probable and implementable solutions that will guide us in moving forward from where we are. Also, we felt that this discourse, especially with regards to assets recovery, which we all know that there was the Abacha loot, which we have been able to recover, the Desiani and all of that, want to see how can we use this to transform national development. So it's imperative that we have this conference with this theme this year to be able to bring in expert policymakers to give us their opinions, and we also share these opinions with other persons to ensure we come up with a strong recommendation for the government of Nigeria. And other countries having similar issues can actually borrow a leaf from whatever recommendations we come with at the end of the conference. Yeah, international law helps to foster collaborations, cooperations between nations, as well as enable proper extradition action if need be for those that may be found wanting or related with the financial crimes. And also it will help to build better and stronger relationship, because international relationship is very key if we must succeed in curbing economic and financial crimes. For us, we are hoping that after this meeting with the recommendations, ICPC, EFCC, which are settled with the statutory responsibility of ensuring financial and economic crimes are handled, either in the public or private sector, are better equipped with knowledge, especially with the recommendation around digital technologies to improve their workings. Also, I know that NRS, they have the capacity, but this will also broaden their horizon, especially in enforcement of things around economic and financial crimes relating to, let's say, tax evasion and all of that. So we are hoping that the outcome of this conference will better equip and strengthen existing institutions and also individuals to better handle issues around financial and economic crimes.
All right. My name is Clement Osuya. I'm the Secretary General of the International Law Association Nigerian branch. Yes, of course, we are all aware about what is going on in the world, especially Africa. Africa is the major victim of illicit financial flows. So it is the right time for people to start understanding the position of international law regarding mitigating crimes of this kind of nature, you know. And secondly, the necessary guidelines, necessary laws and treaties, bilateral agreements between Nigeria and African countries with the outer world, how to deal with illicit financial flows. So the conference is coming at the proper time to educate the people and the general public and the government, which is the state actors, on how to deal with issues involving illegal flow of finances out of Africa and, of course, of all over the world.
Okay, so what role does international law actually play in mitigating these risks?
Of course, the international law plays a lot of roles. One of the major roles is that if funds moves away from country A to country B, it becomes an international act. You cannot use national law, for instance, the EFCC Act in Nigeria, to prosecute or pursue a crime that is committed in South Africa or UK or any part of the world, you know. So that is where international law comes in. And of course, there are several international laws or treaties that exist between countries. There are bilateral agreements that exist between countries on how to investigate, recover assets that are taken away from a country A to country B. So that is the importance of international law. And I believe that with this conference, there will be more development, there will be more increase, there will be more enhancement of international law to curb these excesses.
My name is Oluwaseyi Ebenezer. I'm the chair to the Committee on Natural Resources, Environment and Energy of the International Law Association Nigerian branch. I think this conference is coming at a very critical time because You understand that most times illicit financial flows from developing country, Africa. And I think it's time for us to start engaging how we can work together to fashion out proper structure to help solve these issues, and also on how to improve on our laws, both domestic and bilateral or multilateral laws, on how to strengthen them to make it more effective in tackling this illicit financial. I think first of all, like it has been discussed over the past 3 days, that we have laws, but how effective are these laws to properly mitigate these issues? So it's time for us to look inward, look at our laws, and look at it if it's really solving the issues, and also look at the agencies that this law created and how effective they're actually using this law in mitigating or in enforcing the issues of financial crime. And for instance, in Nigeria, we have multi agencies that work on the same, because looking at them critically, you'll see that at the end of the day, they are working on the same issue. And yet there's a disconnect between these agencies. They don't share data between themselves. They don't work together as maybe joint task force to enforce. So all these issues, we really need to sit down, harmonize, and look at how, even if we are not going to scrap some, but let's harmonize them, let them work together, let them share data, information between themselves, so that we'll be able to strengthen them and also help solve this issue.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Laton Odideji. I work at ALP, a law firm, a top law firm in Lagos, and I'm happy to be at the ILA Nigeria 2026 Annual Conference. Thank you. I would speak from the angle of somebody in the energy and infrastructure industry. When we look at Africa now, Africa is attracting more investments, and we don't want to lose the beauty we are gaining these days. So much of the funds coming in, how do we measure or control the management of these funds? This, which is majorly what we are here to discuss about, because there's a misconception that a lot of illicit financial flows, they are not done without the notice of lawyers, without the notice of regulators. But the truth is that do we have adequate framework to regulate large funds? Not just for infrastructure, but even for policy development. We don't have enough framework for it. But do we have frameworks that exist that we can lean on and we can, take example from? Yes, we do have more than enough, and which is what we have international experts and lawyers and also policy developers come to discuss today. So we are all sitting down to talk about, okay, this is what we are having in Africa at the moment. We're having industry, we're having international transactions. Afrexim is giving so amount of millions of dollars for project development. But how are these things managed? We don't want to go back to the history of after 20 years, we still have policy or politicians taking our money, because the truth is, the money don't just come into politicians, and we have contractors. There's a long value chain of people who execute projects. So how do we control market integrity? How do we ensure that these funds are managed and we have enough framework or enough environment to attract more funds? Like I said, I'm speaking from an investor angle, so which is what we are here to speak on and what we've been enjoying for the past 2 days now. Okay, I would say that one thing I've gotten from this conference is a multidimensional view. I had to speak on my own strengths, but I've seen it from the area of policymakers, from the area of people in the tech industry. I'm speaking from people in the energy and infrastructure investments sites. So I've seen different people bring different ideas and different opinion about it, which is the best, because at the end of the day, there are a billion. I shouldn't use the word billion. There are a million people out there in Nigeria who are not in my industry, but they need the same knowledge, because the future is here already. 30 years from now, we will not have the Dangote or the Otedola still leading these big transactions. It will be me, it will be you. But how do we ensure that these things continue to happen and they're happening sustainably? Is what we are doing today. So as a young professional, I want to learn more about managing and mitigating illicit financial flows in Nigeria and in Africa.